Yeah.
The Bengals allowed Trey Hendrickson to seek a trade, which means that Trey's time with the Bengals is probably coming to an end. Um, Before we dive in, I'll read the quote that he said that was reported by Adam Schefter. So the Bengals are granting defensive end Trey Hendrickson permission to seek a trade. Trey said, "It's been an honor and a privilege to represent Cincinnati over the last 4 years. I love this city and organization. I appreciate the privilege of now being allowed to explore my options." So, Zach, what are your initial thoughts?
I was very angry. I heard about this like kind of in between my classes today, and just wasn't in a great mood for that last class there. Yeah, I mean, this is just, I mean, I don't even have like, I cannot possibly criticize this organization anymore. And I mean, every single podcast that we've done since September has just been the same crap. Like, our franchise sucks, our ownership's terrible, like blah 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 blah. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, our Super Bowl window is done. Like, we're done. It's gone. It's shut. We're not going to win the Super Bowl probably ever. Because we are probably the worst organization in all of sport, I think. I genuinely believe the Jets and the Browns are better. We are awful. We are pitiful. We are wretched. We are disgusting, vile, horrendous. Any other word you want to throw in there, that's what we are. We suck. We suck. It's just the worst ownership that you could possibly have. It could not get any worse. We have shut our own Super Bowl window by letting a top 3 safety in the NFL walk for literally nothing several years ago, not re-signing T. Higgins and Jamar Chase last offseason, costing us probably $10 million on a yearly basis now, and partially because of that, not being able to get Trey Hendrickson's deal done now, the NFL sack leader. Who, even though he's 30, he's still playing in his prime of football. And he's just gone. And we're probably going to get, what, a second for him, maybe? I mean, we'll probably just get nothing really worth anything for him. Nothing that would make me say, I'd rather have that than him. I mean, it's just, we're awful. We're straight up terrible. Our Super Bowl window's closed. If I had to guess, Joe Burrow's going to play out his contract in Cincinnati, not win a Super Bowl. I think we could end up seeing a Carson Palmer / Matt Stafford arc where he gets traded from the Bengals due to him. I think Joe Burrow's going to demand it, and he's going to go win a Super Bowl with another team because most organizations in the NFL are actually comparable at doing their jobs. And, you know, Joe Burrow is a Hall of Fame quarterback. So if you pair him with a franchise that's capable of doing anything well, then I think he's going to win. So, yeah, this is horrible. I feel bad for Joe Burrow, man. He knows how to win and what it takes to win, and our organization doesn't and is not willing to do what it takes to win. And we're just horrible. We are a terrible organization. That my main takeaway from this is we absolutely suck, and we are screwed. We are absolutely screwed.
To the office meme.
Yeah, seriously, that's what I'm. Yeah, it's over. We are screwed. That's what this is. I mean, this is. I mean, that is literally Joe Burrow to a T. I guarantee you, he's just. You know, he's going out into the press conference and he's like, I just got to put on a strong face and be their leader. But when he's at home, it's over. We're screwed. Like that's what this is.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah. I think we're the worst organization in all of major sports, all professional sports. We're horrible. We're an embarrassment of the game of football.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a slap in the face to the fans, the players.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. I mean,
yeah.
Trey has expressed that he wants to come back, and the Bengals. People have talked about it. We've talked about it. Bengals have enough money to re-sign him, T, and Jamar. It's not a problem. It's just their unwillingness to do so, and it's frustrating, and it's just in continue incompetence from the front office and just unwilling to keep the guys that are good
that we need to win
there.
Are we going to discuss why our GM still has a job? Like, why is he employed?
I don't know.
Of the last 10 years, like of the last 10 draft classes, 7 of them have been egregious busts. The only ones that aren't are Burrow, Chase, and Mims. Those are first-round draft picks over a 10-year span, and we have just missed on 7 of them. Like, why is he employed?
I don't know. But it's just like you have a guy who just in the last 2 seasons combined for 35 sacks.
He's had like 77 sacks in his time in Cincinnati. Like, he's insane.
Yeah, led the league in sacks last year with 17.5. And like you can't really replace a guy like that. Like if we get draft picks or whatever, none of those guys are gonna have the type of production that Trey had. And what the worst thing is, it's like you already had a bad defense. His defense was bottom tier and everything last year, and then you're just going to get rid of their best player and hope to fix everything. That's just going to make it worse.
Yeah,
so the defense isn't going to get any better, and it's going to be the same story as last season where the offense is spectacular, but the defense is horrible. Even if Al Golden's there, I mean, we're not going to give him anything to work with.
Yeah, he has nothing.
All the good players are going to be gone. So it's just frustrating because it's like Trey wants to be here. You can pay Trey. I mean, he said back when they were doing like Super Bowl media, he went on to Pat McAfee and he said, "I would like to stay, and I think I love Cincinnati, all this stuff." He said, "But I'd like to get it done, like sooner rather than later, or rather than waste my time. And if they are going to waste my time, just trade me." And that's where we are now. And free agency hasn't even started yet. We're still basically a little under a week away for free agency officially starting. And Trey Hendrickson is requesting a trade, or basically we said, "Hey, you can look for other teams," and they're basically just giving up. They're like, "Okay, well, we couldn't figure it out." Like, I don't know. I think he wanted $30 million. Like,
he's worth. It was a hefty price.
I mean, he's done everything to warrant that. And even with that, we could probably still pay him. I know he's 30, but he's playing at the best of his career, and it's just you just can't. It's like Burrow said, you just can't let guys like that leave the building, and that's what they're going to do.
And we consistently do that.
At least they might be able to get, like, if they do trade him, they'll get a little bit of assets. But I'm not guaranteeing. But like you said, with the draft stuff, I'm not guaranteeing that the pick that we get is even going to become a good player.
Oh, I promise you he won't. We can't do anything. We cannot do anything right in this franchise. It is the worst. It is so frustrating. It's like, what are we doing? Like, it's so bad. Like, because like you said, our defense was already the worst in the NFL last year, and now you let the only good player on the entire defense leave for probably a second-round pick, if that. I mean, Deebo Samuel got traded for a freaking 5th. Like, and we let Joe Mixon go to the Texans for a 7th.
Yeah, you're not getting a first for Trey. Highest would probably be a second.
We are just getting like absolutely highway robbed by every other team in the league. Like, we are the joke of the NFL. It's so bad. We're not winning a Super Bowl. That's over. That is shut. That's over. We're done.
Yeah,
I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but
I mean, it's looking grimmer and grimmer every day. I mean, I think for right now, I would say so. I mean, it'll just be a carbon copy of last season over and over and over again. I think our offense is going to be elite as long as Jamar and Burrow are there, and I'm assuming that now we have to sign T. Higgins. If we don't,
if we don't re-sign T. Higgins now after this,
we have to sign him.
Nothing if we don't re-sign him at this point.
So I feel like our offense is going to be good no matter what. But the biggest thing that hurt us last year was the defense. And we said just the last episode we did, we said they don't even need a top 10 defense. They just need an average quality defense, and they're going to be able to make a deep run. And they're like, okay, well, we hear
Let's
you,
train our best player.
but we're going to let our best player lead. It's like I just don't understand their thought process. And I agree with you. If you get all of this stuff done, like if you get the Trey or the T and Jamar contracts done last year, then you can figure out what your cap space is, figure it out, and then we don't have to worry about all this nonsense.
Yeah, this isn't an issue if we get it done last year.
And so now we're going to go into free agency again, not re-signing Jamar, not re-signing T, possibly like looking for trades for Trey, and really not knowing how much money we're even going to have. And it just doesn't make any sense from a logical perspective. Like I'm not a general manager, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But just from like you would think logically, oh, let's just get all this stuff done so we know what we have, know what we need to do, and make a plan from there, rather than like multitasking and trying to punch the numbers and figure out, oh, well, if we give this, we can pay this guy this, blah blah blah. Like just figure it out before that. You don't have to worry about it. And a lot of people, are always talking about the Eagles. They just re-signed Saquon Barkley and Zach Bond for long-term extensions. And we re-signed Jackson Kirkland and are now going to trade Trey Hendrickson. So it's like I just don't understand. I just don't understand. And it's not like Trey hates. Like it's not like Trey.
No,
I'm sure Trey didn't want this to happen. Like he wants to stay in Cincinnati. He loves Cincinnati. The Bengals are just refuse to give players what they're worth, and they question why they've never done anything. It's because the good players you have always leave, walk out the door because you don't pay them what they deserved, and you treat them terribly. It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, we are the worst franchise in all of sports. It does not get worse than the Bengals. They are the absolute bottom standard of an NFL of a professional sports franchise. It does not get worse. We're the worst. We have set the bar so insanely low. It's a miracle that we even drafted Burrow and Chase and Logan Wilson and T. Higgins. It's shocking that we even drafted these guys. With how horrible we don't draft well, we don't pay anybody. We do nothing. And like you said, they're going to enter the second consecutive offseason with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase still not signed to a long-term deal. And Trey Hendrickson looking for a trade because he requested a trade last offseason too. So it's like what? It's the same crap. We're going to have the same team as we did last year because we're not going to hit on a draft picks. I guarantee you that. So it's just going to be the same story as it was last year, only without Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, and I think last year's Trey's request was not full. He wasn't super serious. He was just trying to get some leverage to get money. But I'm sure now. He's probably fed up with. It's like, dude, just pay me already. What else? What else do I need to prove? I've had 35 sacks last 2 seasons.
There's nothing else.
NFL in sacks last year.
There's nothing else.
Pivotal piece to your defense, and then the Bengals are like, well, you're 30 and you won $30 million. Yeah, no, we're not. We're just not going to do
that. There's just nothing else that he can do to prove it. He's just going to have to go to a franchise that knows how to play how to do business. Because he's not. The Bengals surely don't. So he's not going to get it in Cincinnati. It's really unfortunate. Very frustrating how this team how this team does business, or lack thereof, I guess. Just constant, repetitive, just epic failure. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't make any sense at all. What they're doing makes no sense in the slightest.
Yeah, I don't really see a plan.
I don't think there is a plan. I think these guys are just a bunch of morons, to be full on honest with you. I have been probably one of the most outspoken and harsh critics about this front office, and I think I've been polite based upon what they deserve. These guys suck.
They
I mean,
do.
our front office is the sole reason we don't have a Super Bowl already. Like, I mean, there's no reason at all that we should not already have at least one Super Bowl. And like, I was talking to one of my friends about it, and because he was like, "Oh, dude, what about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's freaking terrible. We suck." And he was like, "Yeah, it's really unfortunate because when they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, I was like, oh, surely they're going to be back, even though they lost. If it wasn't for ownership, we would be."
Yeah, I mean, it's just a failure. It's just been a failure
Yeah,
to
I mean,
build a
every
championship
other
level team and have continued success. It's just they're just failing the organization.
yeah. I mean, this is like a perfect picture on how to not run a franchise. Like how to not run a franchise, how to not win games. I mean, this is just a perfect photo. I mean, I'm sure Zach Taylor and the coaching staff are fed up with it too because they're the ones catching all the heat, and it's not their fault. It's like everybody like when we're losing games, everybody's like, "Oh, Zach Taylor sucks. He needs to be fired." And it's like it's not even him. It's the front office. Like the coach can't like the coach can't win a Super Bowl with crap players. Like it's not like you know what I'm saying? Like the coach can only do so much. I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, it's on the front office to supply like the coaching staff with the guys to win, and we aren't doing that. And they're catching the heat for it. And it's just it's absurd. Like if I'm a player or a coach, I want nothing to do with the Bengals. They don't pay your players. They treat their families like crap. We'll talk about that too. Yeah, and when you lose as a coach because of their stupidity and foolishness, you get blamed for it. Like I wouldn't want anything to do with the Bengals. If I'm a player or a coach, I'd want nothing to do with them. Honestly, why don't they sell the team? Like, why are you just going to continue to drive us into the deepest hole in all of professional sports? Like, sell the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the same stuff over and over again. I mean, I don't know if it's. I mean, Duke Tobin has not done really anything, and um, whoever I forget the names of the other two that really are heavily involved.
Yeah.
I think Katie Blackburn. I think that's her
Yeah,
name.
yeah. She's one of the owners. She's the freaking
Yeah, she
daughter of
sucks.
Mike Brown.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know what they're doing.
They have no freaking clue what they're doing at all, and it's very, very angering. It's extremely frustrating.
It is.
It's like we had the guys to win, and we just let them all leave because we don't want to pay them.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a guy like Joe Burrow, like should be contending for Super Bowls, and they're just throwing it away because they're just unwillingness to actually like pay good players and give players what they deserve.
Yeah,
And they'll be like, "Oh, well, we would have been tight cap space wise." Like, no, I know.
You're the top tier.
I know what your I know what your cap space is. If you make the cuts that you've made, and will probably continue to make, you're gonna have plenty of cap space to sign these guys. And I don't know if it was Trey. I mean, Trey was only going to probably get signed for like a 2-year deal. Like it wasn't going to be a super long-term deal. So I don't know if it was he wanted more years or wanted more money, and the Bengals just weren't able to do it. I'm not really sure, but
not willing to do it. They were able. They weren't willing.
Yeah. But we're now at a point, and they're at a standstill again. And now it looks like that Trey's gone for good.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just not much you can do. Like you're just not going to be able to replace a guy that had 17.5 sacks.
No.
You're just not going to be able to do that.
No,
he's one of the top tier edge rushers in the league. I mean, he's not probably at the level of like T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, those guys, but I mean, he's still an elite pass rusher. We've seen it the last 2 years.
Yeah,
and anybody you bring in free agency is not going to be able to do that.
Nope.
And then anybody you draft won't be able to do that either. They're not in the unless they're not going to be getting into Abdul Carter or some of these elite edge rushers that are in this draft.
No,
that are going to be able to produce right away and eventually might be able to get to that level of player. They're just not going to be able to do that with their draft history and where they're drafting. And so it's just like you're making a defense that was already bad, stripping it of its best player, and hoping things are going to be all right, which is a horrible,
They're not going to be
horrible
okay.
plan.
Yeah, we just absolutely crapped away any chance we have at winning. Like we are absolutely cooked. Like it's over. It's honestly over. I have absolutely zero expectations for this team anymore. None.
Here's some stats. So since Trey joined the Bengals in 2021, third in sacks, fifth in pressure, second in pressure rate, fifth in pass rush grade. So he's been like a top 5 edge rusher since he's been on the Bengals, and I am
for us.
Yeah, apparently he didn't do enough to warrant another contract with us. But I am curious to see what the compensation for him would be, because he is 30, but he is coming off of his like 2 most productive seasons and is still a great player.
Yeah.
So I am interested. They're not getting a first. That's not happening. I already know that. But I am interested to see like if they get a second, third, and another player, or multiple seconds, or something like that. Like, I am interested. I mean, we've already gotten stuff. The Colts have been interested. Commanders are interested. Teams are interested in him, obviously, because he's a great player. So I am interested to see kind of what the compensation for him would be. None of it's going to be amount to his level of production, but I am kind of curious to see what they could get for him, and they'll probably pick the worst one, honestly. But whatever. I am interested to see what the compensation for him could look like.
Every other franchise that like is in situation like contract situations, right? So like, oh, we have to re-sign a player. Like every other franchise that is in these contract situations just gets it done. Like there's no drama, there's no nothing. Like every franchise that is actually good in winning football games, they just get it done. It's like, oh, this guy's up for extension this year. It's like, okay, we'll get it done, you know? Or, you know, if he's like 30 something and his play's been declining, then they don't get it done. They just let him walk, or they trade him, or something, you know? Like every other franchise makes moves when they need to be made. But everything that we do, it's like fighting tooth and nail. Everything we do is like, oh, well, we're going to try to get this guy as cheap as we possibly can. We're just going to put it off and off and off until they have the triple crown. Now we're going to lose a lot of money on him. And it's like, just get it done. Like every other franchise that is like capable, like even average, just gets it done when it needs to get done. Like it's not a big production with anyone except us. It's just ridiculous, dude. Like there's no drama, there's no anything with any other team except for us. We're so bad, like, and we're so stingy and cheap. It's like, just pay the freaking players when they need to be paid, and this season was honestly probably the worst case scenario for the Bengals because of how just god awful we do business. We did not extend Trey Hendrickson. We decided to put T and Jamar both off until this off season, and it's like all 3 of those players had career years this year. So because we screwed ourselves by not getting it done when it needed to get done, now we're not going to keep all of them. Because Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks, Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown, and T. Higgins, when he played, was phenomenal. So it's like every one of those guys that we just said, we'll throw them on the back burner and get it done next offseason, just egregiously balled out this year, and because of that, we're not getting it done. Like, it's just so, like, this was a nightmare year for the Bengals, and it's all their fault.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It is just so frustrating. That's really the only word. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, for sure.
But some people trying to find the silver lining in this. I have seen people be like, okay, well, like, let's say the Bengals do trade T, and just get like draft assets or whatever. Then you go from, that his cap hold's gone, so then opens up more money that they can use to sign guys like Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, stuff like that, who are like good defensive players. But But my thing is if you pay Trey, that's one less thing you have to worry about, one less hole you have to fill.
Yep.
Like the defensive line was already a problem. They're going to make it more of a problem losing Trey. But if you bring him back, you're like, okay, well, we have Trey. Now let's get guys to build around him to create a solid defensive line.
Yeah.
Now you get rid of Trey. You're like, all right, now we need an elite pass rusher. And it's like, well, you had one, but I like it's just it's really. I mean, it's not this. It is this simple, but just pay the players that need to be paid and deserve to be paid.
Yeah.
Just get it done. You won't have to worry about it anymore, and then you can go from there and build your roster out from there.
Yeah.
But they don't do that, and they wait till the last minute or push it off, like you said, and then it comes back to bite them. And then we end up like where we are right now, where I'm sure Trey's probably fed up. He's like, we've been talking about contracts for 2 years now. I've played my butt off. And the Bengals are still unwilling to pay him what it's worth.
And because of that, our Super Bowl window's shut.
Yeah.
So
it's just incompetence.
We have just totally screwed ourselves out of winning championships. I've never seen a franchise screw themselves over worse, ever. Never have I seen a franchise. I mean, even the Browns with the Deshaun Watson move, I would honestly put how the Bengals have been handling their players over the last several years on the same tier as the Deshaun Watson Browns move. Like, honestly, I do genuinely believe it's that bad and that mismanaged.
It's pretty bad.
Just in different ways, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, see, that's why, like, you know, like, it's crazy to say this, but, like, I argue that the Browns organization might genuinely be better than the Bengals because at least the Browns are, like, they are actively willing to spend a lot of money. You know? Like, they are willing to go out and spend money. Now, they might be spending money on people they should not be spending money on, and that's their problem, but at least they're willing to go out and spend money, you know? Like, we just won't, like, we won't spend money, so we can't get players. Like, I mean, I would take an organization that is willing to spend money, just spends them on the wrong guys, 10 out of 10 times before I would take an organization that won't even spend money. Because at least with that situation, you can kind of, like, you can fix that, you know? Like you can kind of like you can kind of figure out which players you need to be spending money on, you know, a little easier than convincing a bunch of freaking cheapskates that you need to spend money, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. It's just, I still can't wrap my head around their decisions, but
no, and you know, it's like, honestly, it's like I said a couple weeks ago when we were, you know, starting to come into the off season. You know, anything that we do, I'm going to expect it to be the wrong thing, and yep. No matter what we do in free agency, with contract situations and the draft, whatever we do, it's probably the wrong thing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about, you know, going back to draft. So Bengals defensive line draft picks since signing Trey Hendrickson in 2021. Joseph Osai, Tyler Shelvin, Cam Sample, Wyatt Hubert, Zach Carter, Jeff Gunter, Miles Murphy, Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson, Cedric Johnson.
Like, that is laughable. Like, are you serious right now?
Like, one of those players played, like, rotate, like, decent.
Dude.
I mean, Jenkins played, like, quality, like, man, it's just like DT2, but
I guess he would be the only one. Everybody else you just named, I either don't know who they are or they are busts. Like, it is laughable how horrible we draft. Like, what are we doing? And it just goes back to we have
that's what happens when you have that's what happens when you have four scouts.
And that goes back to the ownership not spending money. You gotta hire an actual scouting department.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bad, dude. Yeah, I everything that they do, I would do the complete opposite way. And it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't yeah, that's all I got to say on that matter. I don't even just
frustrating.
Bad.
Frustrating, continual just mismanagement by front office, incompetence, whatever word you want to use. And so, now we go into. I was feeling a little bit confident heading into free agency. It was like we had done a couple of things that I at least envisioned, and now I have no confidence that that anything's going to happen. I still have confidence that Jamar and T will get signed, but I had confidence that Trey was going to get signed, and signs were pointing to that until a couple hours ago. So it's just frustrating, but we'll see what happens. Free agency starts on Wednesday, so about 6 days. There's still a little bit of time to make any cuts and extensions that they need to make to you kind of set the table, see what we need to get, and I think the legal tampering starts either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Monday, I think, is the legal tampering.
Monday, okay. So then they can start talking to players, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. But it's big punch in the gut right now.
Yeah, I have zero faith in this organization. Like it has all run out. I have no faith. I have no confidence. I have no expectations. If I wake up tomorrow morning to an alert that says the Bengals have granted T. Higgins permission to go seek a trade, I won't be surprised in the slightest. I'll just be like, oh, okay, another day in the office for Cincinnati. All right. That was basically my attitude for the Trey Hendrickson thing. Like, I saw that and I was basically just like, classic Bengals move. Like, That is how bad this franchise is. I guarantee you, if I woke up tomorrow morning to an alert that said T. Higgins is going to be traded, I would literally say to myself, I am not surprised in the slightest. This is just that. This is Bengals. That's how bad we are.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you guys think of the Trey Hendrickson requesting your trade or allowing or the getting permission to seek a trade. Do you think it's the right move? And where do you think he's going to end up? What do you think the Bengals can get from him? And are the Bengals ultimately screwed, like we said earlier? It's over. We are screwed. So let us know. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys next time whenever breaking news comes up.
Whenever we don't
free agency to rant more about the incompetence of the front office. But that's going to wrap it up for us for this episode. We'll see you guys in the next one.